Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Deskside Chats podcast presented by the City of Northport. My name is Madison Hyde, and I'm the Deputy Communications Manager for the city. Everyone has a story, right? In this podcast, I'll be learning the stories of our employees right here in the City of Northport. Join me as I chat with folks from all walks of life across departments and divisions. We're building a community of unity. Get to know the staff working for you every day. Now let's lean in and chat Deskside. Senior Executive Assistant to the City Manager, Anna Duffey, has had a varied past of careers and expertise. Listen in to find out how it all fits together to make her the perfect choice for her current job. Oh, and you can also find out about the beginnings of her and her husband's relationship. Spoiler, it was in high school and it didn't start great. It's a giggly fun one this time, so let's get chatting. Hello, Anna.
Hello, Madison.
How are you doing today?
I'm fabulous.
Fabulous. That's great news. That's a great way to start this podcast. Thank you.
That's what I thought.
Wonderful. Yes. So, okay, how we usually start off these podcasts is the origin. So I know that you were not born in Florida, right?
No.
Okay, where did you start?
My family bounced around New England when I was a kid. I was born in New Jersey, and my family roots are from the North Shore of Massachusetts, outside Boston. Lived there for a little bit. My earliest memories are actually in the boondocks of Maine. We lived in a little town called Hartland, Maine. We had a 92-acre farm.
Wow.
With a huge apple orchard and whole 9 yards and cows and horses and chickens and goats and rabbits and you name it, we had it.
That must have been an amazing time for, I don't know how long you were there, if you even fully remember it, but that must have been an amazing time as a kid to live in a place like that.
Oh, it was. It was absolutely amazing. It was literally one of those things where my brother and I would go out to play for the day, and my mom would send the dog to fetch us and herd us back like we were sheep. Yeah.
Oh my God, what a good idea.
Yeah.
So
go get the kids.
You just trained the dog just to get you guys.
And we'd be playing in one of the tree forts, and we'd see Spot come out looking for us, and we're like, okay, we got to go.
Yep. That's so awesome. I did not know that. Okay, so then how long were you in that area of the country before coming down here?
We moved down here when I was 5.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was like little, young.
Yeah.
Of course, my memories of, the tree forts, my parents were not like bad parents or anything like that.
Sure,
but,
yes.
My brother was a big brother.
Yes.
So yeah, we moved down here in July, and I started school in August. I remember we moved down to Sarasota. Bee Ridge Road was 2 lanes, Clark Road was 2 lanes, and there was nothing east of I-75.
Right.
Yeah.
Times have changed.
Just a bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
You had a front row seat of all this happening.
Oh, yeah. I remember when Clark Road and Bee Ridge Road were primarily cow pastures on both sides.
Wow.
Cow pastures and woods, and oh, yeah.
Geez, having only been here 8 years, I can't even imagine that being that way, because it's so built out now and continues to build out, as we can see. So how did you end up, was it a job thing? How did you end up in Florida? Why did your family move here?
My grandmother and my uncle had already moved down, and our last Christmas we were in Maine. The nail in the coffin, so to speak, was it was Christmas Day. My uncle calls us, because my dad and his brother were close, calls us and says, "Hey Jimmy, how are you doing?" And my dad says, "Well," he says, we're hunkered down. We had a blizzard. We've got snow drifts up to the second floor, but we're doing okay. It was a turn of the century farmhouse, so there was no central heating.
Sure.
We actually had a wood burning stove.
Wow.
In the kitchen, and
oh my gosh.
So he's like, we're downstairs. It's nice and toasty. We're doing good. And he's like, "What are you doing, Jack?" And my Uncle Jack says, "Well, I'm floating in the pool. It's 84 degrees down here."
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Bang that nail in. That's exactly.
Yeah. By July, we were packed up in a U-Haul and headed south.
He had it.
He'd had it.
Yeah, that's basically what my parents did too.
I think a lot of it was my mother had had it.
I see.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the weather was more of a bother to her than to your dad?
And my brother was asthmatic at the time, so so it made sense.
Yes.
Plus, it's a itty bitty town and not a whole lot of job opportunities, and wasn't the bustling hub of prosperity at the time.
Yes, right.
So more opportunities in Florida. Plus, the family was down here, and it was much milder climate. So.
Yeah. Yeah, well, then that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So then, okay, so now you're here, you're going through the schools. Now you're in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've skipped some spots, but we're going to high school now. And high school is where you meet your now husband.
Yes.
But it did not start out like he was going to become your husband.
No, we're kind of un-high school sweethearts. When we were in high school, his best friend was my best friend's sister. He was 2 years ahead of me. We met when I was 15 through our friends, and when I was 16, he asked me out for the first time. We went on a couple of dates. We dated for a week, and he broke up with me because I was late for a date, and I will blame this one on my dad. It is his fault that I was late.
Come on, Dad, you almost ruined it.
Yeah, seriously, right?
Yeah.
I lived out in Mayaca Valley Ranches, which is half an hour outside of, and half an hour away from anything, really. Mm-hmm. And my father would not let me leave for my date with Tank, my husband, until I had changed the oil in my car. And no, I had to do it.
Come on.
Yeah. He was a stickler for vehicle maintenance and safety. So, I was almost an hour late for our date, and he was already in a foul mood.
Oh, no.
And the date went downhill from there because it was a double date we went to a movie with friends actually with my cousin and her boyfriend at the time, and there was no air conditioning in the movie theaters. Oh, no. And the movie was bad, and the place smelled, and we were all sweating. It was so bad.
That sounds awful.
So he dropped me back at my car, and then he ended up going over to our friend's house. And, he's on the phone in his friend's room, and she and her sister are listening on the other extension while he's on the phone breaking up with me.
Oh, I can't say I wouldn't do that, but that's so mean.
But you know what? When I called my friend Core to just say, Core, it's done. I knew, I liked him, so, I was upset, but life goes on.
Right.
And then 2 years later, it was 2 years later, I was 18, and I had graduated high school. We were both working in the same mall. I was working at a bathing suit shop, and he's working at the Sunglass Hut, and he noticed me, struck up conversation, and we started, hanging out as friends with, coworkers and whatnot.
Sure.
And one night, it was his birthday, and he asked me out to dinner, and I looked at him, and I'm like, I said, Tank, if you want somebody to hang with you on your birthday, if you're looking for a friend, I'm your girl. And if you want anything more than that from me, you're barking up the wrong tree.
Oh.
I don't want any romantic entanglements at this point in my life. I'm like, but if you just want a friend to have a good time with, I'm down for that. He's like, he looks at me, he's like, Anna, it's just dinner. I'm like,
oh.
Don't look for anything else.
Yeah, right.
And we're fine. He's like, we're fine. I'm like, okay, good. So we went out to dinner that night, and we started hanging out more and more just as friends, and then a month later we ended up actually having our first real kiss.
Right.
So, yeah.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Now it's 20-something years, not to put dates on you there. But it has been 20-something years, right?
Actually, in October, we'll be 30 years together. December, we'll be 28 married.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Like, that's such a fun story. It started out with him dumping you.
I know,
and
right?
I've been together 30 years.
Right?
And throughout that time, you have 2 boys.
2 boys.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
And one just kind of recently graduated from Imagine a couple years ago?
Yes.
Okay.
That's my youngest. Actually, my youngest, Austin, graduated 2 years ago. And his older brother graduated 5 years before that, Andrew. Mm-hmm. And they're both still here local, living in Northport. They love where they live.
That's
they love
great.
Their city. Yeah.
I love that. And I'm sure you love that too, Mom, right?
Oh, yes.
Having them around?
I love having them close by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand that for sure. Okay, so now, I know we jumped ahead to your kids. Rewind, high school, graduate. What did you want to do when you first graduated? Did you have a track in mind where you wanted to end up?
I started my college education working towards a special education degree, specializing in deaf education. Got into it, started doing some intern work, and came to the realization that it's really not for me. So I switched majors and ended up graduating with an associate's in paralegal studies.
Oh, okay.
And went to work. I worked as a legal assistant for years, and got burnt out by the last attorney I worked for. And so I transitioned into the mortgage business, and I was a mortgage processor, operations manager, and mortgage broker for a local lender. Actually, I worked for 2 different lenders. And then the economic downturn hit, the real estate bubble burst, and the company I was with at the time tried to keep me on, as long as they could, but it was a tough time to be in that industry, and I started looking for more opportunities to work closer to home, closer to where the boys were in school, because my husband works for Publix, and his schedule was kind of wonky, so if something went, if the kids needed to be picked up early or had something going on, I was the one that had to go and do it. So I started looking for jobs and stumbled across a job with the utilities department. And the hours were perfect, and it, at the time it was, not... it was a completely different field for me, so I was going from, set supervision and, lead responsibility to a fairly entry-level position at the time.
Sure.
Mid-level, I would say. But the utilities director at the time saw something in me, and she's like, yes, encouraged me to take the job. And I did, and she was absolutely wonderful. She encouraged me to go back to school and finish my bachelor's degree, which I did.
You did. Congratulations.
Yes. And I worked for utilities. I got to know their operations very, very well. I did all of their procurement initially. Okay. Started out doing their procurement and payables and things like that. And then I transitioned to the communication side of things, and I was community outreach coordinator.
Came to our dark side.
Yeah, came to the dark side. But I had a lot of fun with that. I think that's where my heart is that outreach stuff. And then opportunity opened up in the city manager's office, and I came here, and I've loved every step of my journey with the city.
Yeah, you've kind of experienced all these different corners of it, which I think perfectly prepares you for a job like you have now as senior executive assistant. Is that in the right order?
Yeah, senior executive assistant to the city manager.
Yes. Which is like Grand Central Station, but at the same time, you're dealing with all the different types of things you've done in your past jobs in this one job. So now, you don't have to you get the procurement stuff, so you don't have to be asking a ton of questions like I do to you all the time about procurement, because I don't get it. So, yeah.
And that's why I'm here.
And we are very grateful for you. And we loved you as a communicator as well.
Oh, thank you.
You were great at that. I am glad that I still now get to just sit right near you, and we get to just chit-chat all day. Not all day. We work.
We work a lot.
Yes, we do work a whole lot.
A whole
yes,
lot.
we do. But yeah, your journey here has been super cool. It's been
11 years in January.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you.
And it's funny because when I took the job with the city manager's office, part of me was a little hesitant, wondering if I would stagnate, because people hear executive assistant and they think glorified secretary.
Right.
But once I got in here and really sunk my teeth into things, it was amazing how much more there is to what goes on in this office, and how much comes through, and how closely I get to work with the directors and their support staff, and it's been much more rewarding than I ever thought it would be.
Right, yeah, because I think when people think about assistant stuff, they're like, oh, so she's just managing the city manager's calendar. Mm-hmm. And that
or typing letters. I've heard that too.
Gosh, or typing letters. But like, that is like 1/100th of what you do.
Yeah, it's a fraction.
Yeah, it's a very tiny fraction. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we're very glad to have you, and I'm sure Jerome is very glad to have you as well.
I like to think so.
I think we can pretty safely say that. So now that we're coming to the end of our thing, my first wrap-up thing is, so what is it that you like to do when you are not doing an amazing job at your job? When you're not here, you're out and about, you like to bike? Motorcycle?
My husband rides,
yes.
So I like to sit on the back.
Yes, right, yes, correct.
Yes. And if we're not off on the motorcycles or whatever, I'm usually off tootling somewhere, hopefully with my puppy.
Yes.
Little
Gracie.
The kids moved out, so I needed to have a new baby baby, and that was my little Gracie Lou. She's my little handful now.
Yes, right.
But
keeps
fun.
you busy.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, and hanging out with my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fun stuff.
That's
friends
great.
And kids.
Yeah, especially when they're both older. Mm-hmm. It kind of opens up the realm of like things that you guys can all do together.
And it's so cool that they live locally, they have their own lives, but they still call us almost every day. They're on the phone with one of us, or I'll get the phone call, or I'll come home from work and I have a kid at the house.
Right.
Or 4 kids at the house who end up joining me for dinner.
Yes. You just never know. Got to be prepared all the time.
You just never know.
Yeah.
So
that's so fun. But that's so awesome that they still, want to, they aren't just like, get me the heck out of here, my hometown. And so that's great that they're still close to you.
Yeah, they're very grounded.
Yes. That's awesome. That's great. So, all right, my wrap-up questions that I do for everybody.
Okay.
First question. Favorite movie? Do you have one?
See, my favorite movies often change.
Okay.
My go-to...
Like right now?
Like right now I think I'm going through a Potter phase.
Phase.
I'm reliving my Potter days because,
Been there. Mm-hmm. Been there. Yeah. Yes. And we're getting into the fall season, which is a great time to watch those movies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But my favorite just easy comfort laugh movie is The Sandlot.
That's on my list of things to watch.
You still have not watched that movie.
I haven't.
Oh, girlfriend, you hurt my heart.
I know, but at least it's on the list.
It's so good. It's so good.
I'm sure it is.
And you'll watch that movie and you will totally relate to some of those things. You'll be like, I can see Anna's voice doing that.
Well, oh gosh. I was gonna say, how would I relate, but I get it. Because of Austin and Andy. Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I might bump that up on my priority list.
I think you should.
That and The Godfather are pretty high up there.
It's a good, clean laugh. It's a clean movie, and I laughed hysterically. I still do.
All right. Well, I will look it up so I can stop getting scolded about that. All right. Next. TV show. And this can be your right now thing too. I know that's tough to say, but do you have like a favorite TV show even that you're enjoying right now?
I'm a big mystery whodunit type person, so like right now my favorite whodunit is Murders Only in the Building.
Oh, that's the Selena
Gomez, Steve Martin,
yeah.
Martin Short. My husband is not much of a binger.
Yeah.
But we started watching that, and in one sitting, we sat there and watched like 4 or 5 episodes. And I looked at him, I'm like, you never binge.
Right.
He's like, I know, but this is good. Let's watch the next one.
Ooh. Love that.
So
that's great.
Yeah, he never binges anything. But
yeah.
He really got into that. So we've been
I know my
enjoying
parents have been enjoying that one too.
Yeah.
I'll have to, again, not shockingly, I'm not a big TV show person, but I should watch it because I like the whodunit stuff, but usually I watch the true crime stuff when it's the whodunit stuff. But, okay, final question. Ice cream flavor.
Coffee, cookies, and cream. It's very difficult to find.
I was going to say, that's specific.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I've only been able to find it a few times,
Okay.
a handful of times, and when I have found it, it's not a common flavor that stays on the menu for very long, but it's so good. So
okay.
good.
Where did you originally find it?
First time I had it was in an ice cream shop in Salem, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yes. It was in the heart of Salem on the square, and I went in there for ice cream and stumbled across. I'm like, ooh, that sounds really good. And I tried it, loved it. And at one point, years and years and years and years and years ago, this was when we first moved down to Northport from Sarasota, and that was in 1997.
Okay.
I want to say at one point Sweet Scoops had it, but this is like 20 years ago.
Okay.
So, yeah. I don't think they've had it since, but yeah, it's so good.
Oh, I've never even heard of that. I'm going to have to try to stalk that, see if I can find it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So worth it. But that is like my ultimate all-time favorite.
Right.
And, my go-tos are either cookies and cream or coffee.
That makes sense.
Coffee,
Well, have you just mixed them together?
It's a lot of work.
There's just a thought. Okay.
It's a lot of work for me, and I am just not culinarily inclined.
And usually when you want ice cream, you need it.
And I'm not a real ice cream person to begin with. I'm more the baked goods girl.
Ah, yes. Mm-hmm.
So
I'm with you. Now I just want to eat all the sweet stuff. Okay, well, I think we've come to the end here, Anna. Thank you so much for coming on the show with me.
Thank you for having me on the show with you.
It was really fun.
It was fun.
A lot of good laughs. You have the best laugh. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, everybody. Well, I will see you all next week for the next Deskside Chat. Have a great day, everybody.